morning. So I am pretty burnt out on trees. It's been nothing but trees for months. So I'm going to do some rocks. I don't know how many I'm going to do. So I'm just going to prep all these and go from there. I'm feeling much better than I was last week, and certainly making progress there. Now Julio's got a bit of a head cold thing happening. He's so funny about these videos because he'll come down, he'll be like, "Oh, are you gonna do a thing?" And he gives me this look like I don't even know how to explain it. But he just gives me this look like, "Oh, it's your special time." When I was getting everything cleaned up and set up to do all these rocks, I gotta turn my I was looking for these bases and I couldn't find them, and I knew we hadn't used all of them for the trees. As it turned out, Julio had them hidden downstairs in the basement. So I got all that. When we first did rocks, Julio made molds and then we cast them in resin. But I'm kind of thinking we don't really need to go through all that extra material and time, because I can't imagine they take all that long to make by hand. And then doing them, brain, doing them by hand, you'll have a lot more variety, which will be nice. I know of the trees that we didn't sell, they were all just single tree bases, and one of the comments was they just looked too uniform. So when we did our single trees, for the most part, unless they're specialty trees like those fruit trees or whatever, we kind of changed it up with the bases and stuff. So hopefully they'll have better reception. But I think we really focused on a lot of the multiple trees per base. Anyway, so I'm doing rocks now. Something a little different to look at. And enough of the tree talk, for sure. So as I started saying last time, our anniversary is coming up on the 29th. So I thought it would be kind of neat to tell you how we met and the beginnings of our story together. We actually met online on one of those online dating things. It was called OkCupid. And I'd met a couple people, I'd gotten together with a couple people from there before I met him in person. And honestly, when I joined that site, I joined because my aunt Colleen suggested maybe I do that. And I didn't even really know what I was looking for at the time. I think I was just ready for human connection again. I wasn't sure if I was even really ready to date or anything, but it was time for me to just go out there and meet someone, or, people. Just have, words. So we met there and we talked for a couple weeks, and then we decided to meet in person. It was a Thursday. We met at a coffee place, and we ended up just walking around town for hours. Just walking and talking and getting to know one another. And it was late. It was like 11 o'clock when we decided to call it a night. We both had work the next day. And of course he had like an hour plus commute. Back to Williamsport. So, excuse me, still not quite over the cold, so I apologize for that. And I was in his car, he was getting gas, and he was going to drop me off at my truck. And so, we were sitting there he got gas, and then we parked. And we were sitting there kind of being awkward because I don't think either of us wanted to really call it a night, but it was late, and we had to be responsible adult people with responsible adult lives. So he said, or we decided to part ways, and then he said, but wait, there's something I gotta do first. And then he kissed me. And that was, let me tell you, one heck of a kiss. And he got me. And so the next day, Julio messaged me in the afternoon and said, I have something to tell you. And I was like, oh gosh, what? He's like, I got laid off. Now, I, like many, have been burned by people, men. I've been taken advantage of by men who have no ambition or anything, to put it lightly. And so when he said that, I was like, all right, sure, he had a job, right? But I didn't really think that. Not really, but it did cross my mind like, oh God, here's another one who's just going to try to, take advantage of me and, that. But I didn't really believe it, but it was a thought that I had. And I was talking to my girlfriends about it. Like, there's this big issue. He doesn't have a job anymore. I guess maybe he never had one. I don't know. We only had one date, one night together. But man, he got me with that kiss, and then we kind of fell off, or he really actually fell off. It was a couple weeks where I thought maybe I had done something wrong, because like he became standoffish and like less responsive, And I did consider that, maybe it was the whole no job thing and he was feeling self-conscious about that. And so it was a couple weeks of me not knowing what was going on there as far as like why we weren't talking as much and stuff. And then he messaged me, he said, "Listen, I got to be honest with you. I'm feeling pretty bad about not having a job." Like, and it was what I suspected, that he just, without the job, he didn't know that he had anything to offer me and such. Now, I wasn't trying to take care of him or anything, but I really liked him. So I was willing to, stick by him and give him a shot anyway. So I said, "You know what? How about this? How about I come to your house this weekend and we'll make dinner together and we'll just spend a nice evening together." And I did that. And one moment, because I need to clean my brush, and I'll be back. All right, so where was I? So we did end up getting together that weekend, and we had a great time. We made chicken. Uh, we made chicken and something together. Watched some movies, talked, and had a really nice time. And it kind of just went from there as they do. Um, um, so fast forward some time. Basically, I knew fairly quickly that I was going to, like, he was it for me. I don't know how quickly he knew, but fairly quickly I knew, like, this is the guy. He's smart, funny, creative, supportive. Actually includes me in things he likes to do. Um, just treated me like a person worth being a person too. And that meant a lot. I hadn't felt that from anyone in a really, really long time. So I think it was probably 8 months, and I decided that I was going to propose to him. So I made this one of those picture explosion boxes where, like, you take the lid off and then flaps come out, and then you take another lid off and more flaps. So I did that, and I ordered some custom minis from Hero Forge. One of me, one of him. And on the bottom I had "Marry Me" written, or like engraved or embossed or whatever it was. Um, and I was very concerned that he was going to beat me to it. I didn't know what his plans were. Um, but I really wanted to be the one to to make that leap and stuff. And I actually got the kids. I asked the kids if they'd be all right with it. I asked Augie and Kaylee, and I asked Ellen B, and they were all on board with it. No. The pine bark is really nice to make rock split because of all the layers. So when you paint it and dry brush, you really get some cool looking stuff. So he was working third shift at the time, and he was coming to my house on the weekends, like pretty much every weekend he would come to my house, either on his own or he would bring Augie and Kaylee, and all the kids would hang out together and we'd just be a family, right? Oh, that looks cool. So the day, it was February 2nd, the day I decided that I was going to do it, he got to my house, I was living in a trailer at the time, out in the country. He got to my house and he went to bed for a bit. And of course, I'm getting impatient, right? Because, I've got this weight hanging over my head. And so I didn't really give him a whole lot of time to wake up when I gave him the box. So he's just, like mostly asleep. I'm handing him this box and I'm just like awkwardly watching him go through it. And I don't think he knew exactly what was happening because he just kind of like looked at me and stuff. And I was like, well, and then he goes, well, I guess this is the thing we're doing now. And so that was that. And, a little anticlimactic, not gonna lie. But we got here, And so yeah, like that was just the kind of the mentality, like, oh, we're doing this now. And yeah. So I ended up moving to PA because his job paid better than mine. So I moved here, and we lived in this tiny apartment for a while. Breakage gives a character. Yeah, we lived in this tiny apartment for a while. Now, the funny thing about us getting the house, it was during COVID time. So 2021 is when we got the house. And the reason why we had always planned on, moving into or like getting a house and moving out of the tiny apartment. But the reason why we ended up actually looking for real was because of the refrigerator. Now, the apartment had a refrigerator that broke down on us. Now, I had a refrigerator and some other things in storage from the trailer that we didn't need because the apartment already had those things. So, it was like, oh, well, that's not a really big deal. We'll just grab, my fridge from storage and we'll be all right. Now, Julio took the day off, and one of our work friends helped him try to get the refrigerator in the apartment. They took molding off, they did all kinds of stuff, and they just could not get that refrigerator in the kitchen. I'm not even sure if they could get it down the hall because the hall was so narrow. And that was the last straw. So I get home from work and there's just this big ass, this big refrigerator in the middle of our living room. And it's a tiny apartment, so it's taking up a whole lot of space. And Julio was like, excuse me. He was like, well, that's it. We're moving. We're getting a house. So that weekend, 4th of July weekend, that was when we started really looking. And we drove around all over the place, just looking at different houses and stuff. And then we saw this house. And we came up to the backyard first. And as soon as we saw the yard, we knew, like, this is the house we want. And yeah, some frustration, some tears. And September 21, we officially got the keys to the house. And I never thought when I was in my 20s, making bad choices, as people tend to do at that age. I never thought I would find home. And maybe this is a little TMI, but the first time Julio told me he loved me, it was just a random afternoon. We were laying in my bed watching a movie, and he just said it. And when he said it, I cried. Because it was the first time I really felt seen, felt loved by someone, and they didn't expect anything from me. It was a very overwhelming moment. Because I never thought I would have that. I never saw myself as worthy of that. But when you find your person, you find your person. And I am really blessed to have Julio in my life. And so are the children. And I like to think that Augie and Kaylee feel the same way about us, me and their siblings. And yeah, we have a special family. So that is essentially the story of us. We got married in our backyard. How long has it been? I think this is 3 years married. Maybe? I think it's 3. And we had a Halloween wedding. Now, someone let the cat out of the bag, but it was supposed to be like a surprise wedding. It was just supposed to be a Halloween party, and then it was going to be like, oh, by the way, we're getting married. Welcome to our wedding, or, you know. But the cat got out of the bag, so literally everyone knew that it was a wedding except my mom. So, so when, so we dressed up as Princess Buttercup and Wesley. And so we even got our JP to do the marriage wedding speech. So almost the whole time, Mom was like, "This is not real. You're not really getting married." She did not believe it. So I had to tell her to, like, "Okay, Mom, stop. Just let us do this thing." But yeah, it was really special. And she's like, "Man, it's about time." It was fun. Actually, I like how that looks. Is there a faster way to do this? Probably. But I'm actually kind of enjoying this change of pace from trees. So, if you've gotten this far in the video, I'm going to request that you give Julio, you heckle him a little bit to get a video made. Because he has not done any videos, and he should at least do a video of his characters so we can start doing video battle reports of his party too. We've been busy with other stuff, but I would like to get back into the video battle reports. Well, I say back into, we've only done one, but I would like to keep going on that. So yeah, give him a little heckle, if you would be so kind. That aside, in other news regarding what we're up to and such, I'm looking into starting loyalty program on our website. Excuse me. Loyalty program on our website where you can earn, we're going to call it Gilder, basically points based on dollar amount spent. And then you can use those points for, discounts on purchases and such. Still working on that. I do want to, as well, get a newsletter going. I know I started to do that some time ago, but I do not remember any of that stuff. So, I started a new thing, and hopefully I'll be able to figure it out. And get that going. So, yeah, that's really what I wanted to talk about is our beginnings because, we're almost 3 years married and 8 years together. It's been a heck of a ride. And I appreciate every day that I get to spend with him. Happy anniversary, Julio. Make a video. Your fans love you. All right. Well, happy crafting, happy gaming. Hope you enjoyed my little story. And thank you for keeping me company while I make rocks.